there and welcome to Ready to Trade, partners to the East and West. I'm Emma Crosby. Well, in this episode, we're going to explore the vast opportunities that lie ahead for companies who are looking to trade internationally. The concept is a simple one. A free flow of goods, people and data helps pave the way for more choice, investments and overall economic growth. Now, the UK is a champion of free trade and is constantly strengthening ties with trading partners, old and new, from both the East and West. During this show, we're going to speak to experts and also business leaders about the benefits of working in an open market. But before we join them, let's set the scene.
Now more than ever, strengthening ties between nations who believe in free trade is a powerful way to defend the principles of open markets and international cooperation. The UK is a champion of free trade, seeking new free trade agreements with like-minded countries around the world to drive global economic growth, bolster SMEs, support jobs, and create more opportunities for collaboration with overseas buyers and investors. Whether you look east or west, the UK already has significant trade and investment relationships. Last year, the UK started free trade negotiations with the US. We're consistently one of each other's biggest investors, with more than £700 billion in each other's economies. This is a strategic opportunity to our vital economic partnership, creating jobs, improving wages, lowering prices and increasing choice. Among the key beneficiaries of the existing UK-US economic relationship are high-growth creative industries. Advanced technological breakthroughs pave the way for the development of new technological standards in virtual film and TV production. In October 2020, the UK signed its first free trade agreement as an independent trading nation with Japan, and in the spring of this year, the UK plans to start negotiations to join a trade alliance of countries. Becoming the 12th member of the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership would deepen the UK's access to fast-growing emerging market economies like Mexico, Malaysia and Vietnam. Joining the £9 trillion partnership would remove unnecessary barriers for both British and Asian businesses, allowing greater movement of people and goods and reinforcing the case for investment. We hear from the UK's North America and Asia Pacific Her Majesty's Trade Commissioners and industry experts to understand the opportunities that lie ahead for companies based in the East and the West who are looking to trade and invest internationally.
Last year, the UK started free trade negotiations with the US. Well, here to discuss the ongoing relationship between the UK and US and Canada is Anthony Phillipson, Her Majesty's Trade Commissioner for North America. Anthony, thank you for joining us. Can you give me a brief overview of trading relationships between the United Kingdom and North America?
Well, thanks very much for the chance to talk to you about it. It's one of our most important trading relationships in the world. The US is our single biggest export market, takes almost 20% of our exports, and we're the biggest investors in each other's country and also very important sources and destinations of innovation. And the same is true for Canada. It's our 17th largest trading partner, really important member of the G7 with us, the OECD, the World Trade Organization. And of course the US and Canada themselves are very interlinked through what used to be called NAFTA, now the US-Mexico-Canada agreement signed under the last administration. And I think in terms of countries with whom we have common interests in terms of the strength of our economy and the opportunity to build those economies together, creating jobs growth across all of the US, all of Canada and all of the UK. It's a really important and exciting dynamic relationship.
Let's talk a little bit more about going forward. How are we looking to enhance partnerships between North America and the UK at a national but also at a state level going forward?
I think that distinction is really, really important. If I start nationally in both countries, a lot of focus, of course, in the last few years on the work that we have done to drive forward for a free trade agreement between the UK and the US. We got through 5 rounds of really intensive negotiations, and now we will pick up that conversation with the new administration once they are fully in office. And we're very excited about the chance to position that FTA alongside President Biden's narrative about economic recovery and building back better. In Canada, the focus at a national level has been on what we call rolling over the Canada-EU agreement that we obviously left when we left the EU, and we successfully did that last year as well. And we're now looking to set the platform for the future discussion in terms of a possible free trade agreement between the UK and Canada. But the point you make about the state level engagement is a real point of focus for us here over the last year or so, for a couple of reasons really. First of all, we want to be able to reinforce that case for a national level agreement between the countries. Secondly, in both the US and Canada, these are not single markets. Quite a lot is decided at state level on things like procurement, mutual recognition of professional qualifications, and other issues. And so we're looking to really deepen and strengthen our economic partnerships with state level, and indeed in some cases city level. If you think about the investments in infrastructure that are made here in New York City, being able to position the UK as a prosperity partner and a trusted partner across all of those issues is really important. And then the final point I would just come to that runs through all of that is a really important focus for us on making sure that these agreements at national or state level, or indeed the work that we do day to day, really work for small and medium-sized enterprises. These are the lifeblood of our economies and indeed our communities. A phrase we use is that we want these agreements to work for the main street as well as the high street in both the UK and the US, UK and Canada. I also like to say that even the biggest companies in the world, the multinational corporations, they all started out as SMEs one day. And so if we don't get these agreements and we don't get our work right for SMEs, then we won't be doing our job properly.
Anthony, thank you so much. One of the sectors that's really benefiting from this vital UK-US economic relationship that we've just discussed is the creative industry. Multi-million-pound blockbusters like James Bond, Harry Potter and The Crown, all produced here in the UK. Well, let's delve into this further with Rupert Daniels, Director of Creative Lifestyle and Learning at the Department for International Trade. Hi there, Rupert. You are uniquely positioned to see a top-down view of the creative industry in the UK. So what are you seeing in terms of trends currently?
Well, the UK is right at the centre of the global film production outside of the USA. But overall, we're seeing huge inward investment, reaching 2.36 billion in the last year, which accounts for about 91% of the total spend on film and about 76% of the total spend on TV, which is 1.24 billion and 1.13 billion respectively.
Rupert, tell me, why should investors choose the UK?
There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, so we create this supportive environment for the investor, so that we effectively manage that account and find a way to make things happen from end to end. We'll work with them from the idea, from the concept, through to helping with the planning, real estate acquisitions, working with other investors, working with local government, local councils, just to make that whole project happen. And that's the role of DIT. We're right in the middle. We're the conduit for all this great work to happen.
Rupert, thank you. Also, a huge player in the entertainment industry here in the UK is the video game sector. Well, joining me now is Ben Lumsden from Epic Games. That's the company behind the mega success that is Fortnite, about what the growing gaming industry means for investors. Ben, hi there. Can you tell us a little bit about virtual production technology and how it was invented?
Virtual production is, for me, a huge variety of different things all at the same time. It's where cinematography and live action filmmaking meets virtual real-time game engines. And that could be a wide variety of things. It could be performance capture, like Andy Serkis playing Gollum, for example. And if you have a real-time render of Gollum, so that Andy and the director and all of the creatives together can understand what that live representation of the character looks like and what it's going to look like in the final thing. And all the way through to this huge trend at the moment with in-camera visual effects. And in-camera visual effects is having a video game, essentially, on large LED panels behind the live action talent. So if you have in the foreground, you have an actor, and then behind the actor, you have a whole variety of LED panels with computer generated imagery. And the big difference between that and any kind of traditional cinematography techniques where you might have rear projection that's been going on for 100 years or so is the fact that it is interacting in real time. So the perspective changes depending on where the camera is. So you have this false sense of parallax as if you can see into the depth of a real scene. So it came about from the Unreal Engine. This is our software development platform that we've been developing for 20 years now. And over the last 8 years, we've been really focusing on bringing it to the film and TV industry. And so it's an interesting one where you have a video game essentially being a part of a film production live action set.
Ben, thank you very much. Andy Fowler is the VP of Virtual Production at Netflix, one of the world's most well-known streaming platforms, which may well have become all of our best friends during lockdown. Andy Fowler's visual effects career spans over 30 years, and whilst at Netflix, he's overseen visual effects for such productions as Lost in Space, Black Mirror, and Stranger Things. Andy joins us now. Hi Andy, thanks for joining us. Now, Netflix just recently made the multi-million-pound blockbuster Midnight Sky in the UK at Shepperton Studios. Can you tell us about the collaborations involved in producing the virtual production scenes?
Absolutely. Yeah, the Midnight Sky is actually a sort of fantastic, I think, example of virtual production, VFX, and physical production. A term which kind of roping into sort of a term called digital production in a way. And I think it's a really fascinating sort of combination of all those three different areas of the business. It's a real collaborative technology, effectively, virtual production, because it does require obviously that sort of integration of all those different areas of the business. And I think interestingly, the collaboration starts with the director and the DP, the director of photography, and even the production designer. Without their collaboration, of course, it'd be very difficult to sort of have the success that we did say on Midnight Sky. Having their buy-in on something which is a new sort of level of technology was really critical in the success of the show and in the way it worked out. We did leverage some amazing talent on the technology side. We had ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, their stagecraft technology was front and center in sort of bringing this to the success we had. And also, we had the third floor and technology partners like the VFX facilities like Framestore, and a whole host of others that really sort of came together to sort of meld effectively these images to the screen. But it was a real collaborative effort, really from beginning to end. And I don't think any other technology requires that level of interaction in the way that sort of virtual production does in a way.
Netflix started exploring virtual production technology just a couple of years ago. How has the company evolved its investment in VP?
We certainly recognized a couple of years ago the sort of importance of these technologies as they began to mature just that little bit more. Also with real-time game engines beginning to just mature and become that little bit more accessible, but also robust, I guess. And so we saw that opportunity. And for us, there are many forms of virtual production. It's not just the LED screen technology that we sort of have been talking about with Midnight Sky. There's obviously virtual scouting, which is effectively capturing the scene, with collaboration across, even across the world. You might have a DP in one country and a director in another, and et cetera, and just a collaboration across multiple time zones. So there's virtual scouting, which is the ability to sort of collaborate on the scene setting, which is quite remarkable. And so obviously that is a great tool as we consider the times that we're in. But of course, there's pre-visualization tools as well. Again, with game engine technology really coming to the fore over the last couple of years, having those real-time previs capabilities have been tremendously impactful to the business. So certainly, we saw all that, beginning to come together at Netflix a couple of years ago. So we began to form alliances where we could with a host of technology partners and different technology stacks to make sure we're kind of like certainly, at the head, I guess, at the front, the leading pack, if you like, of all those studios that are leaning into this technology. We didn't want to be left behind, of course, knowing how important it would be to our filmmakers, to sort of manage it, to be able to leverage this technology. So, we have certainly been working with a lot of different, vendors and, again, technology partners across the world. Because Netflix obviously is a global company, we're doing our best to sort of begin to bring this technology not just to some of the usual areas of the world, obviously like the UK, but obviously some of our global content teams in other parts of the world as well. So for us to sort of be there at the head of this technology has been a great way to help shape the way the business comes together to support that sort of global content, obviously as well as our content in the UK.
Andy, thank you very much. So we've been hearing plenty of exciting opportunities, and it's for that reason that the UK government invests heavily in training people in the creative industries. So to discuss this now, we're joined by Seetha Kumar, CEO at Screen Skills. Seetha, welcome. Tell me a little bit about Screen Skills and what it is that you offer for the creative workforce here in the UK.
Screen Skills is the industry-led skills body for the sector. We focus on film, television, by that I mean children's, scripted, unscripted, visual effects, animation and games. Our focus is to build and enable an inclusive workforce to thrive, and we do this by working hand in hand with practitioners to understand what their skills needs are and to make sure that they have the right skill sets and the right skill workforce to produce great content. We're data-driven and outcome-focused, and by that I mean we monitor what are the skills needed now and what are the skills likely to be needed later. What is the pipeline you need? What are the changes in workflow? So we can focus and make sure that the industry has the workforce you need today, as well as the skill sets in terms of the workforce that needed tomorrow.
So Seetha, what developments have you seen in the industry in recent years? What's been the most dramatic change in your opinion?
There have been a couple of really significant and big changes. Tax credits have fueled a burst of amazing and ambitious storytelling. So you've got prestigious, fantastic stories such as Killing Eve or The Crown. And then you also have the quintessentially British productions like James Bond or the inward investors who make programs in the franchise such as Star Wars. The other end of the spectrum, because of the ambition for creative storytelling, you have virtual production, which for me is just the latest in a long line of innovation that happens. I mean, it just sort of follows from the amazing visual effects that brought the Harry Potter stories to life over the last decade. Now, virtual production was on the radar and you saw it in games, but it was Mandalorian that actually showed you what was possible. And then more recently, because of COVID, it sort of accelerated innovation and technological creativity that may have taken a while, because you realize that needs must. And so you can see that is the new thing that's going to fuel even greater storytelling to come.
Seetha, thank you very much. We've looked west at the UK-US relationship. It's time now to turn east. Last year, the UK signed its first free trade agreement as an independent trading nation with Japan. And the UK has also applied to join a trade alliance with Asia-Pacific countries too this year. Well, let's discuss what these agreements will entail with Sam Myers, Her Majesty's Trade Commissioner for Asia-Pacific at the Department for International Trade. Sam, welcome to the programme. You're currently talking to me in Singapore, so tell me about your experiences out in the Asia-Pacific region.
Yeah, so I run a team of over 200 people working in embassies across Asia-Pacific. We're here to promote and champion free trade across the region. Asia-Pacific is a really dynamic and diverse region of around 1 billion people. And it's got a huge diversity of economies ranging from Australia, Japan, Singapore, as well as emerging markets such as Vietnam and Thailand. And one consistent trait of all these markets is the speed and rate of economic growth. Vietnam was growing at 7% GDP per year before COVID hit. Of course, COVID has hit here, as it has around the world. But the predictions are that Asia Pacific will bounce back relatively quickly compared with the rest of the world from the pandemic. So the UK already has a huge amount of trade and investment with this part of the world. Our total trade runs at around £100 billion a year, and the investment that we attract from Asia Pacific into the UK stands at about £115 billion, making this region third only to Europe and the US. Emma, Asia Pacific is also at the sort of confluence of trade diplomacy, and so there's a number of exciting trade deals that have been struck out here, including CPTPP that I hope we have a chance to talk about. And 7 out of the 11 CPTPP members, which is a mega trade deal, sit in Asia Pacific. The UK is now sort of negotiating free trade agreements with Australia and New Zealand, as well as having signalled our desire to join CPTPP. And we've already secured free trade agreements with Singapore, Vietnam, Japan, and South Korea. So it's a really busy, exciting opportunity for UK companies to enter the markets of Asia Pacific. And there's huge opportunities for investors and companies based in Asia Pacific to find investment opportunities that the UK provides for them too.
Sam, it sounds like you work in a really dynamic region. You've got a 200-strong team that's working very hard. It sounds to me like there's huge potential at your fingertips. Now, you talked about CPTPP, a term that many of us have never heard of before. So can you tell me a little bit more about it?
Yeah, sure, Emma. CPTPP stands for the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. Not very easy to get that out. It's basically a mega deal involving 11 countries across Asia Pacific and the Americas. And the UK joining CPTPP would deepen our access to these fast growing markets and major economies, which include Mexico, Malaysia and Vietnam. CPTPP is one of the most important free trade areas in the world, and it accounts for some 13% of global GDP, or about £9 trillion in 2019. And that would rise to 16% were the UK to join. Now, this high standard agreement removes tariffs on 95% of goods traded between members, and it reduces other barriers to trade across 4 continents. And so this would really complement the existing free trade agreements that the UK has with a number of the CPTPP members. The markets account for about £110 billion worth of trade for the UK in 2019. And so it gives a sense of the scale of opportunity for the UK to join. And our membership would send an even stronger signal about the importance that the UK places on free trade and this dynamic group of countries at a really important time as the global economy rebuilds from COVID-19 and we seek to reinforce the rules-based international system. So we're really looking forward in the UK to working with Japan as the chair of the CPTPP Commission in 2021, as well as the wider membership, and seek to progress these negotiations as quickly as possible.
Sam, thank you very much. Now let's look at the ever-growing UK tech sector. Whether it's fintech, health tech or deep tech, the UK is home to some of the world's most successful technology firms. George Windsor is Head of Insights at TechNation, who believes the UK makes a great trading partner. And he joins us now. Hi there, George. Can you give me a bit of an overview of the investment landscape in the UK for international investors?
Yeah, of course. So I think the first thing to say is that the UK has seen record tech investment, not only over the last year, where it achieved $15 billion worth of investment in 2020, despite very uncertain conditions, of course, we know associated with the pandemic, but also associated with Brexit. UK tech companies have continued to raise incredible amounts of money, both domestically and from international investors. But there are a few things I'd say actually about the investment picture over the last year, but also over the last 5 years. So I'll give you a few key points, and I want to make 3 points really. The first is that investment has been steadily increasing and in some cases rapidly increasing over the last 5 years. We saw that between 2018 and 2019, investment shot up by 44%. And really did put the UK in a very strong position globally. Right now, we're third behind China and the United States only. Really strong in the world, and the UK is definitely punching above its weight in terms of tech investment. The second point that I want to make is it's not just about the usual suspects. We've got very, very strong clusters of tech activity in the likes of London, Manchester, Bristol, places that you'll likely be very familiar with. If not visited, if you have ever had the chance to come over, I'd certainly recommend all of those places. But we've also had very, very strong investment from clusters like Newcastle, Glasgow. We've seen very, very strong investment in Edinburgh over the course of the last year. Again, cities you will have heard of certainly, but definitely, I guess, cities that have been on the up over the course of 2020. And in part, that's down to my third point, which is that we've really seen rocketing investment in areas of tech that have been responding directly to challenges thrown up by the pandemic. We know that fintech and financial services generally is a very, very strong sector in the UK. It's strong for the economy as a whole, and it's certainly the case that it's strong for tech. Fintech, in fact, in 2020 made up around 30% of all tech VC investment. But actually we saw areas like health tech becoming ever more important. And we look to places like Glasgow and see companies like ClinSpec DX and Talking Medicines really providing incredible new solutions for some of the challenges that have been thrown up by our being in lockdown. And actually, these aren't just challenges that will go away when the pandemic starts to alleviate, but they're really challenges that we're going to see more and more into the future. We've also seen incredible companies in the energy tech space, companies like Octopus Energy, which reached unicorn valuation, billion-dollar valuation in 2020, as well as others like Bulb and Tokamak Energy that are doing amazing things when it comes to green energy and really helping both the UK and the world hit that net zero target that we know we so desperately need to hit. And I think that's a really important point. Tech companies in the UK are helping the world meet the most acute challenges that we're all facing right now. So I guess in summary, what I'd say about the UK investment landscape is it's been growing. It's been growing steadily and in some cases quite rapidly over the course of the last 5 years. Investment has really increased and is now at record heights. Investment is being made right across the UK, from big clusters like London and Manchester through to incredible tech hubs like Glasgow, Newcastle, Edinburgh, Belfast. And it's happening right across the UK. So I'd really urge anyone outside of the UK to take a look at every tech company here, not just those perhaps headquartered in London. And the final thing I'd say is that we're seeing massive investment increases in those areas of tech that are responding to some of the challenges that we most desperately need to meet in the world. And those challenges are not going to go away immediately, but with the help of pioneering tech companies in the UK, we can really start to head them on or head them up sort of face on and really start to, I guess, address some of these things that we know matter right across the world.
George, thank you so much. Well, that's all we've got time for, I'm afraid, but I'd like to thank all our guests who have shared some fantastic insights on how free trade can help boost business and investment opportunities. If you would like to find out more about this topic, then please visit cnbc.com/ready to trade. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.